From WNDU, your breaking news and weather authority, this is News Center 16 at 5.
A large business fire takes the life of a New Carlisle firefighter. Now memorials have gone up all over. Also, the small town is left mourning the loss of a community-driven man who was fighting that fire alongside his father. Good evening, I'm Seth Conley. Maureen and Terry are off tonight. 41-year-old Assistant Chief Jamie Middlebrook was a volunteer firefighter, and he was battling the fire late last night at KFEX, a septic pumping business, when his life was cut tragically short. News Center 16's Gabby Gonzalez was at the scene live all night long for us, and she begins our team coverage in New Carlisle tonight. Gabby, this is hitting that community pretty hard.
It really is, Seth. Assistant Chief Jamie Middlebrook had served the department for more than 20 years. He was very well known in the community and actually worked alongside his father in the department. News Center 16's Trisha Hart has been here all day for us. And Trisha, I was at the scene last night. I heard several explosions coming from that fire. Also, a lot of tankers going back and forth from the scene. This was a very big fire.
It was, and a bunch of neighbors have talked to me today. They said they heard the explosions, they saw the flames, and they couldn't believe what they saw. But it wasn't until they learned that it was Assistant Fire Chief Jamie Middlebrook that he had passed away. They said the entire situation became completely unbelievable. Now the fire has been handed over to the State Fire Marshal, and the LaPorte County Sheriff and Coroner are handling the death investigation at this time. The State Fire Marshal has been at the scene of the fire all day. Now the blaze broke out at around 9 o'clock at KFEX, that septic pumping business on US 20 on the St. Joe LaPorte County line. The building is only about 110 feet by 60 feet long. 20 firefighters responded but called for backup to handle the size and severity of the blaze. Crews faced issues like a lack of fire hydrants and had to call in water tankers. The roof of the building collapsed, trapping Assistant Chief Middlebrook and his partner Matt O'Donnell inside. Investigators tell me they had to remove debris from the roof and remove several trucks in order to get to Middlebrook's location, and then they had to remove more debris from on top of his body.
Well, I've lived here all my life, and the fire department is volunteer. They put it out there anytime there's a fire without hesitation. There's never been anything as tragic as this happen to anybody from the fire department. And your children aren't supposed to leave before you do, so my thoughts do go out to Bob and his wife.
This scene is still an active investigation. The State Fire Marshal's Office has investigators on the scene that are investigating the cause and origin. We do not know that determined yet. That will probably take several days for us to determine that.
Now, I spoke with Matthew O'Donnell, Middlebrook's partner. He was trapped inside. He fractured his ankle. He received several burns, and I asked him how he was doing, and all he could really muster to say was, I lost my partner. And this is just a truly heartbreaking situation. You can see by the size of the memorial that's growing in front of the New Carlisle Fire Station, the amount of people that just want to show their support for this.
And that brotherhood among firefighters was so clear last night. More than a dozen different departments showed up to help when that Mayday call went out. And also they're actually helping today, filling shifts here at the New Carlisle Fire Department to make sure the folks here in town have some time to mourn this whole situation.
Because these are all volunteer firefighters. This is not a full-time job. Middlebrook was a full-time EMT here, and being the assistant chief was just a volunteer position for him. So talk about a man who gave it all to New Carlisle.
For sure. All right, Trisha, we'll hear more from you coming up at 5:30. Thank you so much. And last night when I was on the scene, a firefighter from a different department told me he grew up in this area. He had trained some of the guys of this department, and he just knows how close they are. News Center 16's Christine Karsten was in this tight-knit community for us this morning and introduces us to a hero who put his life on the line every day.
They still remember him when he was young.
Just very, very energetic little guy, and cute.
He was just your typical wonderful adolescent.
Two teachers who got to watch Jamie Middlebrook grow up. And it was those characteristics just described that followed him to adulthood.
I think he lived his life with a purpose, and it was clear that he was doing things he liked to do.
Middlebrook was a firefighter for the New Carlisle Volunteer Fire Department. Those who knew him say he started a short time after high school, following in his father's footsteps. Supporting Hero says Middlebrook volunteered for the department for 22 years and was also a career EMT.
My mom is elderly and has had many health problems, and sometimes I felt like she, instead of me taking her to the hospital, she wanted to call the ambulance because of that, quote, kind young man who'd always help.
This man, dedicated to helping those in emergency situations, eventually had one of his own. Middlebrook was diagnosed with leukemia.
He suffered with an illness as an adult and came out of that really well.
Middlebrook eventually went back to work fighting this most recent fire Tuesday night, but it was there that he lost his life.
It's not fair, you know. It's I thought of his dad in Vietnam, fighting through all that to come back and have a life and then lose his son in a situation like this. And for Jamie, he must be pretty special. They must need him in heaven for something.
And that was Christine Karsten reporting, who was here in a very emotional morning as the town woke up to news that Assistant Chief Middlebrook had in fact died in that fire last night. And I just have to say, there has been a constant stream of people stopping by the fire station here, dropping off flowers at a memorial that they've set up for Middlebrook right outside the firehouse there. And we have also learned that his father was on the scene last night, also fighting that fire. So just a heartbreaking situation. Seth Conley is back at WNDU Studios in South Bend to continue our coverage. Seth?
All right, thanks so much, Gabby, Tricia, and Christine, for that team coverage of a community in mourning. And many of you have been leaving your condolences for Assistant Fire Chief Middlebrook on our Facebook page as well. Christine posted, "Rest in peace, brave soul. You certainly have earned a place in heaven for your heroic deed." Charles commented, "Prayers for him and his family, including his firehouse brothers. All this sacrifice to protect us. We need to recognize that and help these families." Indiana Governor Mike Pence released a statement today regarding this deadly fire. He said, "Today, Indiana mourns the loss of a true Hoosier hero. On behalf of the state, the First Lady and I extend our condolences to his family and friends and hold them in prayer during this difficult time." And we want you to stay with us here on News Center 16 as we continue to follow the tragedy in New Carlisle. We'll have much more coming up during our 90 minutes of news. At 5:30, we'll show you how South Bend Fire is paying tribute to this fallen hero. We're going to turn now to weather. Mike, a strange night last night. What are we looking forward to tonight?
Yeah, Seth, we're definitely not going to see any funnel cloud reports like we did last night, and they were funnel clouds in multiple locations. But for this evening, just a couple of showers in our far southern areas. They're kind of exiting southern portions of Kosciuszko County, as you can see right now, heading south of the Silver Lake area. And didn't give you folks much rain, but I know this area definitely needs the rain pretty desperately. Not going to get it, though, as we head through the evening. Hour-by-hour forecast as we look at the early parts of the evening. There will be a few clouds for a while, but it will turn clear and temperatures starting to fall off down to 74 degrees by 9. We'll let you know how cool it gets by morning coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Mike. Let's get you caught up on some of the other stories that we're covering tonight. An early morning police pursuit in South Bend ended in gunfire. The driver of a stolen truck allegedly fired shots at police. News Center 16 Sean Gallagher has been following this story for us tonight. And Sean, do police have a suspect in custody?
They do, Seth. The South Bend PD was able to apprehend the female suspect, but not before a shootout occurred outside of the post office just south of Chippewa Avenue. But it all started around 1:30 this morning after a vehicle was reported stolen. The suspect, 24-year-old Carla Merriweather, allegedly stole the pickup truck near Wayne and Main Streets in downtown South Bend. The truck is owned by a retired police officer, and around 3 o'clock this morning, police spotted that vehicle near Vassar and Elmer Streets, and a pursuit began with speeds over 100 miles an hour. During the chase, Merriweather allegedly shot at officers while driving with a gun found in the vehicle, which police say is owned by the retired police officer. The chase came to a stop outside of the post office, and the suspect shot at officers again. Police returned fire, but no one was struck and there were no injuries. Police took Merriweather into custody, and she's currently being held in St. Joseph County Jail, charged with a federal crime.
Obviously, at 3 o'clock in the morning or shortly thereafter, you have bars getting out. The pursuit went down Main Street, so you have a lot of cross traffic. So it's certainly a danger to the police officers, the suspect, as well as any citizen driving through there.
And Seth, police had closed off the section of South Main Street south of Chippewa Avenue early this morning, but were able to open it up to normal traffic by 11 a.m. this morning.
Now, Sean, you said that there were no injuries during this chase and the pursuit and the shooting. So why is Metro Homicide on this case?
Well, Seth, Commander Tim Corbett tells me anytime an officer is involved in a shooting, whether being shot at or firing the gun themselves, Metro Homicide is called to investigate. It's all just part of their standard procedure.
All right, Sean Gallagher, thanks so much. We appreciate it. It was destroyed by arson 4 years ago. Today, though, a groundbreaking was held for the new Oxbow Tower. The 38-year-old observation tower at Oxbow County Park burned in the summer of 2010. Mitchell Burr of Elkhart, who was 19 at the time of sentencing, was given 3 years of community corrections in the work release program, in addition to 9 years in probation. He was ordered to pay $70,000 in restitution. The new tower, which should be finished by this fall, was built entirely with help from the public.
We raised about $136,000. The tower is going to cost us about $120,000, and the remaining funds we're going to use to build a handicapped accessible parking lot nearby.
Last year, the Elkhart County Community Foundation gave the largest tower project gift with $32,000 in a grant. Since then, several other groups have also contributed. The votes have been counted, and Michigan residents now have the results of yesterday's primary elections. We'll take a look here at some of those key races. In Michigan's 6th district and the Republican spot for the congressional seat, incumbent Fred Upton comes away with a victory against challenger Jim Bussler. In Michigan's 78th district for state representative, incumbent Dave Pagel beat challenger Jim Walker. And incumbent Al Picholka wins the Republican nominee spot in the race for state representative in the 79th district. He ran against Cindy Duran. In Berrien County, voters said yes to funding Dial-A-Ride. It's a service that provides low-cost transportation in the Niles area for seniors as well as those with disabilities. The Niles service alone transports about 100 to 150 passengers each day.
Tracking severe weather right down to where you live. Storm Team 16 is your weather authority.
Even though we did make it into the low 80s today because of all the sunshine in South Bend, it was a more comfortable 80-degree reading because the humidity levels are definitely lower. And you can see we're one of the warm spots around because most parts of the Great Lakes, even down into central Illinois, Indiana, only in the mid to upper 70s right now. So this is more comfortable air, and there is very little moving on the weather map, as you'll see coming up with future tracks. So things are going to be sticking around for quite some time. Here's the way our sky view looks right now outside in northern Mishawaka from the St. Joseph Regional Medical Center. You can see it's 80 degrees, lots of sunshine out there, traffic moving nicely, and the rest of the numbers shows how low the relative humidity is, only 35%. So this is much drier air than we've seen over the past few days. Winds are northerly at 13, helping to bring in that cooler air. Temperatures right now, again, South Bend's the warm spot in our area, except for Francisville just came up. They were not the warm spot at about 450. But it did come up to 81 degrees. Everybody else right now in the upper 70s until you get along the lakeshore. Then you're looking at low to mid 70s, but it's still a very nice evening to be heading out to Lake Michigan. I'm sure it'll be a beautiful sunset out there. Here's 16 Doppler max, and you can see for the most part it is dry. Now it is interesting, while we do see those showers moving south from Kosciuszko County, there appear to be perhaps a couple of showers there moving again from Cass County into northern Elkhart County. These are just sprinkles at most, but the vast majority of us will stay dry and very nice as we head through this evening. You can see, though, on the satellite radar combination, we're kind of the northern fringe of that pop-up shower activity that did occur today, and we'll watch that next storm system off to the west. But here's what the future looks like with 16 Future Track. We are looking at some nice weather across the area for the vast majority of us this evening. Again, a couple of spots early this evening could still see a brief shower. Otherwise, we are looking at partly sunny skies as we head into the day tomorrow. I don't see a repeat of the fog coming in. Could be some patchy fog, but not like the dense fog advisory we saw this morning. High pressure comes into the northern Great Lakes, keeping us dry, but this is going to be a battle here. Exactly how far north does this rain come? Right now, Future Track keeping it to the south, and we expect that will probably happen, but it is bringing the rain into central Indiana, and I'm sure you folks in our southern counties wouldn't mind some of that rain getting farther north. Not out of the question. We'll just have to kind of watch this slow-moving storm system. This is going to be a 2 or 3 day event for the Ohio Valley, getting some decent rain rains down there, but high pressure off to the north should keep all of that to the south of us and keep us dry as we head into the weekend. Here's my Storm Team 16 forecast for all of Michiana for this evening. Gorgeous out there, except for a couple of spots might see a sprinkle. Otherwise, it's mostly clear and cool tonight, low down to 58. 7-day planning forecast, a cool start tomorrow, otherwise partly sunny, comfortably warm, high of 82 degrees. We're going to put 3 green days down here for a change on the 7-day. Another partly sunny day on Friday. Cool to start, pleasant again in the afternoon with a high of 80. And then a mix of sun and clouds on Saturday. Partly cloudy skies to start, otherwise rather warm with a high temperature of 80 degrees. And the rest of the 7-day forecast, partly sunny and 82 on Sunday. And it looks like a chance for a shower or thunderstorm on Monday as a weak cool front comes through. And we cool things down slightly for Tuesday and Wednesday. Partly sunny skies, high temperatures of 78 degrees. So no dog days of summer coming up here for August, but kind of pleasantly warm. Not too cool either. I don't think I hear a lot of complaints over the next 7 days, except for those areas that do need the rain. And there are some.
That's right.
Especially our southern counties.
That's right. Looks pretty nice for the weekend.
It does.
Really. All right. Thanks, Mike. Well, there's a new push in Indiana to get more college students to graduate in 4 years. And state officials say the benefit is big for students. The Indiana Commission for Higher Education is calling this push 15 to finish. Kate Chappell has the story.
So there really is an advantage to finish in 4.
4 years. It's the goal of a new campaign in the Hoosier State aimed at getting college students to finish degree programs on time.
The reality is there isn't a single degree program in the state of Indiana, whether it be a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree, that if you take fewer than 15 credits a semester, that you can graduate on time.
That's the message Jason Bierce and his colleagues in the Indiana Commission for Higher Education want students to understand. They say their data proves taking 15 credits a semester means students are more likely to graduate, to get better grades, to pay less in overall education costs, and to get a jump start in the workforce.
Just one extra year of college can cost Indiana students $50,000 or more in extra tuition, lost wages, and related costs. And so there's a significant financial incentive.
Only 3 in 10 Indiana students finish a bachelor's degree in 4 years, and only 1 in 10 students finish an associate's degree in 2. So instead of the previous 12-credit recommendation, Indiana and its universities are upping the ante by allowing students to lock in tuition prices for 4 years if they commit to at least 30 credits a year.
It ends up being at least a 4 or 5% discount by the time you get to your senior year.
Public universities also have an incentive to push students to their full potential.
State institutions are funded through a performance funding formula, and on-time completion is a part of that formula. So it's very important for state institutions to help students make progress in a timely way.
84% of Ball State University students already attend 15 credits or more a semester, which is higher than the state average, in part because of a completion scholarship. Indiana residents who start as full-time students can earn a $500 credit if they complete in 4.
In 2012-13, we had 968 students that earned that, and then in 2013-14, we had almost 1,100 students.
But university officials are making it clear there's not a one-size-fits-all for every student, especially at universities like IU South Bend, where the student profile has only recently shifted to what it is today.
10 years ago, 70% of our undergraduate students were working adults, primarily coming in the evening. Now it's the opposite. 70% of our undergraduates are traditional age, coming right out of high school. So I'd say everything is pointing us to helping students get through sooner, at least at public institutions.
Kate.
And there is some controversy over whether students should push for more credits if they're not prepared for college. In situations like first-generation college students, though, those who work full-time or part-time while taking classes, and students who come from low-income families. A lot of advisors say less is more in order to concentrate on graduating at all. But the commission urges their data proves that 15 credits are doable in most circumstances. Of course, though, universities plan to manage this on a student-by-student basis. Well, still ahead, what's stopping Americans from losing weight? We'd all like to know that, right? Well, one doctor says he has the secret to shedding pounds. That's coming up next in the Medical Moment.
The latest health news for you and your family. This is Maureen's Medical Moment.
Could carbs be killing your brain? That story's next in our medical moment. More than 5 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's. A recent study found costs for dementia care in 2010 were as high as $200 billion, roughly twice what's expended for heart disease and almost triple what was spent on treating cancer. Now one doctor says we can prevent Alzheimer's altogether by changing our diets.
What's making Americans overweight, tired, and sick?
Too much red meat.
Fats and oils, stuff like that.
McDonald's.
This doctor says they are all wrong.
Your key to weight loss is to eat more fat. Eat fat, get thin.
Neurologist David Perlmutter, author of Grain Brain, says Americans should also be eating very few carbs, just 60 to 80 grams a day.
For more than 99% of our time on this planet, we were on a high-fat, low-carb, virtually gluten-free diet.
Perlmutter says carbs cause a blood sugar spike. A recent study showed even small increases in blood sugar up the risk of dementia, and type 2 diabetics have doubled the risk of Alzheimer's. Another study found the risk of dementia was 42% lower in those who consumed a higher fat, low-carb diet.
We should prevent the disease because we know how to do that right now, and it's not going to cost anything.
Perlmutter has vocal critics who say some people may interpret Grain Brain as giving consumers the go-ahead to load up on high-fat meats and dairy. Perlmutter points to a recent study of more than 350,000 people that found no link between saturated fat and cardiovascular risk.
That's the information that people have been receiving for decades, and it has absolutely no scientific merit.
The bottom line for Perlmutter? He says history proves grains aren't meant for our brains.
This is a totally foreign diet for humans. We've never had carbohydrates like this in our diet.
With the medical moment, Maureen McFadden, News Center 16.
And Perlmutter says load up on nuts, veggies, olive oil, eggs, wild fish, free-range chicken, grass-fed beef, avocados, and some dairy. But choose whole milk, though. Stay away from trans fats, sugars, processed foods, and carbs. Consume fruits sparingly and eliminate gluten from your diet. If you'd like to read the research summary for today's story, you can go to our website, WNDU.com, and click on the medical moment. Coming up, you could call him a real Picasso. An amateur artist is expected to be the highlight of a charity art exhibit this week. And while the work of a 6-year-old poodle is expected to go for top dollar at an upcoming charity art exhibit. Meet Polo, whose work will be featured in an auction gallery alongside nationally renowned artist. Polo just picked up a paintbrush last year, and his art may be a little bit abstract, should we say, but it's expected to fetch several $100s. His owner says Polo's paintings are great conversation pieces, and she's glad that the art is being used to raise money for pets. It's a talented pup. Well, News Center 16 at 5:30 is next. Here's a preview.